So what basically happens is the hangar's rated on the ships you have and the number of ships you have. So you could have, I don't know the number, but I think the deluxe hangar kicks in at approximately constellation level or up. So if you have over $250 worth of ships, irrelevant of whether it's constellation, you would go to the deluxe hangar. So yeah, I mean, this is just like this test case where I was over here, there's basically one of each one of the ships. So like what happens is in the smaller bay, which is the back bays, is where the Aurora or whatever would be, which is kind of like, so right over here. Like that's kind of where the Aurora is like in there. And then the front one, so it's sort of that. So yeah, I mean, basically it rates. So it's like most people would probably have a discount because the most number of backers we have would just have the Aurora or like a 300i, and then the later levels, you would go to the business or the deluxe. So. And if you want to upgrade to the business or deluxe, you can help back the game with a little more money, basically. But it all goes to the good cause because it's allowing us to make a game and basically make it just for the community, not have a publisher or anyone else go, we want to make it with this date, or we want you to work on this platform or anything. We just sort of focus 100% on making the coolest game for everyone we can. What's it? Yeah, and we have stuff to show, and I think it'll be fun. I mean, and also I think if you back it, you can get in and see a ship, and then it'll just grow over time. So I mean, that's one of the things we're really trying to do. It's not thanks for the money, we'll see you in 2 years' time. It's like thanks, and we're gonna every week share stuff with you, show stuff, and even let you on your own machine check it out and play around. And this is all work in progress. I mean, it's gonna look. I think it already looks cool, but it's gonna obviously look cooler in 2 years' time. It's just always the process. I mean, I used to think that the Hornet we had in the demo I showed last year was cool. This one's got more bits and more resolution, and so all this stuff will get better. And I think having the community out there looking at it and playing with it and giving feedback and getting excited will be good. It'll be good for the team, and it'll be good for the ultimate game. So I mean, that's a good question. I mean, for me, it's sort of all the games I always make are based on kind of how I would approach a game. So what I want with Star Citizen is I want the initial experience is nice and easy and simple, the way playing Wing Commander was or Privateer was. But the difference with Star Citizen is we're layering in a lot of extra detail that as you get into it, you can play around with it. So I guess a good analogy would be, if you remember StarCraft 2. So I can play StarCraft 2 with just the mouse, and I can have fun and be good. But if I want to really compete and play other people and move up levels, I've got to know all the hotkeys and know all the little strategies and really research it. So the difference between, say, Star Citizen and maybe my early games is I think the early part of it will be easy. You can fly around. You don't have to tweak your flight model or tweak your systems on your ship. You can just go and basically have some fun. But if you want to get into it and you want to customize your ship and load it out with different parts and make it, this ship's better for combat, or this ship's better for stealth, or when I get in combat I want to do this special maneuver, we have all that extra level of functionality in there, so you can go deeper in it than maybe you would have been in the past. But at the beginning, the experience should be very much like a Wing Commander or Privateer experience. You walk in, it's kind of easy to fly, it's kind of fun to fly. Even the early missions should be fun. There shouldn't be, I hate grinding. I always hate, the things I hate when I've tried to get into MMOs is at the beginning they sort of force you into this grind to level up. Just flying your mission, someone says, take some goods from here to here, it should be fun. I mean, it was in the original Privateer, it was in Freelancer, and it should be fun in Star Citizen, so we're going to have that. So the initial experience should be good, and then hopefully when you like it and you get hooked, we're building a lot more detail and layers in than I've ever done in the past, and so hopefully it will sort of keep your attention for a while. But I don't think it should be too difficult at the beginning, outside of, it being a space game and grasping that you need to fly around and combat. But it should be fairly, I should be the game, shoot on this, use on my keyboard or mouse, or do it on a joystick. All of the above we sort of support. It's interesting because one of the things that you get with building a game that you crowdfund is that everybody basically backs a dream, and their dream is not necessarily always your dream. They always have different, so I think we have people that think that Star Citizen's going to be EVE Online with cockpits. Some people want it to be freelancer with a persistent universe. Some people, want it to be privateer with, whatever, this full real-time 3D. So I think EVE's a good game, but it's not my style of game. I find it a little too, I find it hard to get into. I don't find it quite as immersive as I want. So we definitely have some elements that, in terms of having a universe that is dynamic and is mostly player-driven and has systems that reacts to players. We definitely have that element of EVE, but I think we're going to have, I'm hoping will be easy as a new player. You get into it will be more welcoming and more immersive, and it will definitely feel more personal, right? You'll feel like you're in the cockpit. When you're flying a ship, you're really flying a ship. You're not sort of controlling it from a god view. We won't ever be able to have the scale that EVE has. They have battles of thousands of people. We can't do that with this level of resolution and fidelity. So it's really just a scope or a scale thing. You want to be involved in battles with thousands of people, then probably EVE Online is the game you want to play. You want to feel like you're more in the cockpit flying at a more personal stage, then I would say Star Citizen would be kind of your game. And I'm willing to bet that we have backers that are EVE players, and I think they'll still play EVE and they'll play Star Citizen. I don't think it's mutually exclusive. But I wouldn't say that we're just EVE Online with more cockpits. We definitely do have some elements of it. I think we have elements of all my past games and elements of things like EVE Online. But the focus is on sort of first person and immersion in the universe, which you sort of see. If you've been following it, we did that commercial for the 300i that was done like a BMW commercial, but as the company in the future doing the commercial. So we're very big on trying to make things that are immersive, in the universe. And one of the parts of the design in the game is that, if you only log in once or twice a week, or even you don't log in for 2 months, it's not like it won't be that's why I don't like subscriptions. It's the game, in terms of having fun and goes on, is when you're engaging and doing it, then there's a cost. You've got to pay landing fees and fix your ship up and stuff, but you don't get charged things when you're not playing or anything. It's just, so you can have fun once or twice a week, you can have fun playing every single day, or you can have fun coming back to it once a month or 2 months, and that's kind of sort of the design. And I don't want you to feel like you have to be grinding. I don't want to feel like you have to be part of a social dynamic. So I'm very focused on having gameplay for people that like that old Privateer or Wing Commander or Freelancer style single player feel. But then I also think that Constellation, 4 people can fly it, and it's kind of fun playing with your friends. So that's kind of a co-op shit, right? And then there's also things that we're building for much bigger groups, like guilds, if they want to own an economic node and try and build a business and control an area. So, but we're having gameplay that's designed specifically for all these different, and you don't have to be in one group. So there's a lot of games you can play online where it's after the first few levels, to actually advance anywhere, you've got to play in a certain dynamic. You've got to play with a group, and you've got to go on a dungeon raid, and if you don't have, the healer and the tank and all the rest of the stuff, you can't do all the stuff. Whereas we're trying to build this in such a way that it should be like the real world. If you want to play it sort of by yourself, you can have fun and have a good time, and it should just feel almost like Privateer or Freelancer, but maybe some of the people flying around are other real players. But it should feel personal and just doing that. And if you want to play with a small group of friends, you can do that, and there's things for you to do. And if you want to play with a big group and try and take over an area, an economic node, you can do that. And we're deliberately designing it because, from my mind, there is no win in this universe. It's like real life. What's your definition of winning? Some people are I earn a lot of money, or some people are I've helped a lot of people, or some people are I had a good life, or I provided for my family. Everyone has different definitions of winning, and in Star Citizen, in my mind, it's the same thing. It's do you want to be a trader? You want to be a mercenary? You want to be a bounty hunter? There's all these, you can be a courier. There's all these different things you can do. It's not like World of Tanks or League of Legends or something where you come in and there's a match and there's one winner, right? Yes, in that world you can have, that. And so therefore I would even say, the discussion of pay to win is relevant in that. I don't know how you would pay to win in Star Citizen because there is no win. It's life. So it's what you want to make of it. different things, and I think that's kind of interesting. That's sort of what my focus is for the game. Well, I was hoping we would do all right. I didn't think we would do this well. So, my plan was originally to do crowdfunding to prove to the investors I had lined up there was, basically I had to deal with investors that if I did between $2 and $4 million, they would come in with $10 million. And between that, I thought that would be enough to get it to an alpha stage that I could get it out there and be raising more, basically selling alpha and finishing the full game. But first of all, we did so well in the initial campaign, and I was like, okay, we don't need to be just alpha. I can do all the features. And then we continued to do so well that I was like, okay, well, I don't think we need the investors. And as much as the investors were great or nice and everything else, investors have their own agenda, which is like they put their money in and they want a big return. And then sometimes when they want their big return, it's not always convenient for you. So if EA or Activision says, oh yeah, you're doing really well, we want to pay you $400 million for your company, the investor's like, let's take it, take my money out. But I'm not sure that's always the best for something like this. I mean, every time you sell out to a big company, you always see it. I mean, like even with Origin, everyone basically, Origin eventually went away, and you've seen the BioWare founders, now they've gone, and it always happens. So I kind of would like to have Star Citizen be, because I'd love it to be like I think, talking about EVE Online, CCP, they started that game, bootstrapped it, it's 10 years later, they have more people playing it now than when they started. The game keeps evolving, they really engage with their community, and I think that's, they don't have any pressures, they don't have like shareholders demanding that or investors demanding they need their money out now or anything like that. So the fact that we can be crowdfunded, I didn't think it was possible, but it's amazing. And so it allows us to just try and make the best game possible for everybody that's backed it, and not worry about anything like, okay, we need to make this quarter, or we need to be this profitable, or anything like that. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as we make enough money to run the services, that's great, and anything beyond that's gravy. So that means that, I'm hoping we'll have a lot of players, but we probably don't need as many players as, say, someone like EA does on an online game to justify keeping the service up. Well, I'm the biggest critic of myself, and I like it to be a certain way. So I'm definitely delivering a game, and it's going to be good. But I definitely do, and there is pressure, right? So I feel much more pressure here than I would do with a publisher, but because there's a lot of people that put their own personal money in. But I'm not gonna. I mean, because I'll be letting myself down if I didn't deliver the game. Now that's not to say that I'm not foolish enough to understand that there's a lot of people that have backed this, and like I said before, they all have their own idea of what the game's going to be, and it's not necessarily going to be the final game because it just isn't possible. I mean, everyone has Star Citizen is a dream, it's an aspiration, and so like you said, some people are like EVE Online with more action, and more people are like okay, privately or persistent universe, and there's a lot of different ideas that people have. Some people want more the single player and the PvE, and then there's the people that want PvP and they don't want PvE, and so that's a lot of people to make happy. I'm not going to make all the people happy at once, but I do think the game that I'm making with the features that will be in will hopefully make most of those people, they may not have everything they want, but they'll have enough things and it will be good enough experience and have a good time. And that's what I'm focused on that, and I'm also focused on making the experience that if you back it, just seeing the updates and being involved in it, that's like the journey is already a reward, and like when you get to the final game, that's like your bonus. And so those are my two sort of core tenets, and I think ultimately most people, I think, will be happy with that. Won't be all the people, you just never, I mean, the golden rule is you're never going to make all the people happy all of the time, You can make all the people happy some of the time, some of the people happy all the time, but never all the people happy all of the time. It's just the way it is. So right now we have about 50 people on staff, part of CIG between Austin and Los Angeles, and then we have about another 40 or so contractors working on the project. So, and that's increasing. So we'll probably the next month be over 100. I mean, I would see it's actually a bit more than I was originally thinking, but we'll probably have at the peak of it between 150 and 200 people. I mean, it's a big game. There's a lot of things happening. The only thing that's good is that we have we're pretty lean, right? So like we don't have a big campus, we don't have marketing and sales. I mean, we basically have the development team, and the money we raise, we keep like 97% of it. The rest is we have to pay PayPal or whatever. So equivalent, we estimate to get the base persistent universe out there is about 20 million, which means we need to raise about 22 or 23 between fees and hard fulfillment costs for the publishing. Which looks like right now we'll be able to reach based on our trajectory. I think hopefully we may even be able to, maybe early next year we'll kind of get there. So that's all. But all of that basically goes to the development of the game, and we also we're tight on like the deals we do, and so I think it would be equivalent of about if I was doing this at a big publisher, this would be at least a $40 million game. So I think people are getting definite value for their money. Because we just have a lower cost structure, and we don't have middle management, we don't have all these other things you get at a publisher. But yeah, it's challenging, it's fun. So no, definitely. So there's a fair amount like film. A couple of things bringing back from film is one, they're pretty disciplined on production. So there's a lot of production techniques we're using in our pipeline to deliver the assets. They're very much like film production techniques, and we're using a lot of film tools, and we have a lot of film people and approach. And so I'm actually on the production of this game. I'm not particularly worried about the art content. It'll be a lot of work, but definitely controllable, and I can scale it and it's doable. The engineering side's actually the like it usually is a bigger risk item. So I'm using some of the production, I did a lot of pre-production before I even showed the game like last October, and that's part of my experience of film, whereas I spent a lot of time working out like how the game would work, how we would do the online server, all that sort of stuff. So when I went and launched the campaign, I wasn't making it up. I was and I could show something and say, okay, this is what it was. And I think that also helped us raise as much money that we've done. And then the other thing I'm bringing back from film is with film, you learn that the connection, the story, the immersion, what they call in film, the suspension of disbelief, comes from the small things, the details. So if you look at a film, generally films, the story they tell in a film isn't a big story. If you read a novel, the story in a novel usually covers a lot more ground. Films tend to be a pretty simple idea, but they're told with a lot of detail. And there's little moments, and a lot of times the really emotional moment in the film is a moment that is nothing but just on someone's face. And then they're not even saying anything. It's just you can see kind of what they're thinking or the emotion. And so taking the time for the small moments, the little details, really I think connect you and suspend the disbelief and immersive. So we're really trying to do a lot of that in this. So there'll be just lots of things when you're in the ship, all the little bits that can move and everything. And you could say, well, what does that have on gameplay? Well, all of that sort of adds to you being immersed into this world and losing yourself into it. And I would say if you look at Naughty Dog's games, The Last of Us, I think for me is the best console game of the generation. I mean, that will be the high point of the art, I think. But it's amazing, and there's a huge amount of just little moments and details in it that suck you into the world. And I think that's something that you need to do. I mean, it's something that a long time ago I tried to do, and that was kind of what I was known for, and I'm sort of bringing back more of that, and the attention to that detail is really important, and have that in the game, because I just think if you can have that, it will immerse you into the world. And for me, that's what I want to do. I want to build this universe that you just get lost in, and you can go off and you can be whatever you want to be, a mercenary or a space pirate, and have a great time and escape, because building worlds is always, the old Origin motto was we create worlds, and that was pretty much Richard's and mine. That's what we like to do. And so I'm having a lot of fun, because with Star Citizen I'm getting to build a world in a detail that I've always wanted to build, but I've never gotten to. I've always sort of built bits of it and been frustrated, and this is my dream game, and I'm actually lucky to have enough. Thank you to everyone out there that's back. Enough people sort of be excited by that same idea, and back myself and the team to make that game. So it's really great.
You stay close with Richard?
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I backed and supported Shred of the Avatar. We even did a cross promotion with them, and I mean, when I actually launched my campaign, Richard lent me his offices, and so when we were in Austin, we were first launching, I was using that as sort of our war room. I gave him tips and support on when he did his crap. I mean, I was telling him a long time ago, I was saying, don't do this social stuff. People just want another Ultima, do another Ultima. So it took him a while, but he's doing it now, and I think he's doing a really great job. So, so he's, I went to his wedding in just outside Paris. Was it last year? I think it was. We're still good friends. I think, the idea with it is, it's a world. We're selling a world, so long term, I definitely could see all that. I could see, we already actually promised a novella as part of our crowdfunding campaign, so there will already be that. There'll be novels, but I think down the road you could see maybe films, but definitely like something like a TV series or show, because we've got this world with all these different great characters, and we were actually thinking of maybe even doing something where we do linear stories in our universe, but in the engine, like kind of like that 300i commercial, that level of production quality. But stories like, if you go on our site, we've had stories of like, we have some characters like Kid Crimson and Cal Mason and Tony Ariel, who's sort of this female space explorer. And we have these characters that we're going to introduce in these fictional, like they're like old cliffhanger series of the old, like little, every 10 episodes, the full story arc, and each one has a cliffhanger at the end. And they would be perfect for like a little serial that maybe the backers have. So that may be something we'll do down the road. But it's a universe, so it's you buy into it. I mean, I think Wing Commander had that a long time ago. I mean, there were novels and there was a TV series, and I did the movie. Obviously, Star Wars is the best example of something that's done that well. So if the universe works and resonates, which I hope it does, then I think people just like to spend time in it. So, and it's fun creating that. So long term, yes. Short term, got to get a game done first. I don't know. I mean, I can't. I mean, I do know that in the old days, my games were like got people to upgrade, and it was very PC centric. So I was probably one of the, there's definitely other high profile PC developers, but I was definitely one of the PC developers that was known to push PC hardware. I mean, I think maybe part of it was one of the reasons why I did this. One of the reasons why I did it on PC was, I'm a gamer, and even when I was making movies, I was gaming. I had, the highest end PC rig. I was always buying the latest graphics card or upgrading my CPU or buying a new computer. And I had all the consoles too, and I'd play all the games, but I would, if a game was made for a console, and I wouldn't play it on the PC because the ports were all like not very good. And so I'd play on the consoles, and I had, played great. I had a lot of fun on the various console games. Like Demon's Souls is a game I use as something that I really enjoyed and inspired some of the stuff that I'm doing. But I sort of was feeling really frustrated. I'd have this great gaming computer, and I didn't really have anything to play on it. Maybe Crysis 1 was the last thing that really pushed it. And I was sort of feeling like this is not the way it used to be in the old days. And so part of like Star Citizen, I was like, you know what? Now obviously the next generation consoles they're basically PCs, stripped down gaming PCs in a box. But the PS3 and the 360, they're 7-year-old tech. So in 2006, that was equivalent to a top-end PC. But in 2010 or 11 and 12, you were basically, the games on PCs were held back by the consoles, because all the publishers would just make a game on a console and they just do a port across it. So I was like, well, that's not cool. I mean, I want to, that was it. My old Wing Commanders were like, I took whatever you could have. You had extra memory, yeah. We had 640K. You had extra memory for it. You could have the hand, and you could see your legs in the cockpit, or you had a sound blaster. You could have digitized speech. So I was like, I missed that, and so that was part of like the idea of Star Citizen. So I felt that just as a gamer, and so I guess partly I felt like if I feel this, maybe other gamers feel that, and so I think maybe when I launched Star Citizen, it tapped into a bit of that the PC community, which is still pretty big, felt sort of not respected, or like they were an afterthought. They got some bad port from a console game. They were like the redheaded stepchild or something. And so I sort of, that was part of a, hey, look, I'm PC and I should be proud to be PC. And I think it kind of resonated with people, so that maybe that's why they sort of feel the PC icon thing. I mean, I don't feel myself as one. I just felt like I was a PC gamer, but I wasn't getting to play games on PC because there was hardly any PC games. And I was upset about that, and that was kind of what my career has been on the PC, so I'm like, damn it, I'm going to do a PC game. I mean, from my perspective, they're just PCs. They're like kind of stripped down PCs. So actually, it's actually been good for PC gamers now, because what's happening now is people they're actually developing on a high-end PC and porting it to a PS4 and a PS3. So your PC's your high-end version, and then the next-gen console guys are in the ports. If you go around like Crytek where they're developing stuff, I think they've got a few dev kits, and everyone else is running on a high-end PC. So it's actually going to be decent for PC gaming, because you're not actually going to be sort of getting these hand-me-down ports. Longer term, it'll be interesting to see, because obviously PCs, every year they advance, right? Next year, there's a whole new round of graphics cards. Actually, coming out this fall, there's some new ones that will be from AMD, and they all keep jumping up. So already the top-end PC is more powerful than the Xbox One, but it's close, right? So the graphics isn't quite as fast on the consoles, but then you don't have all the operating system in the way that slows it down. So DirectX is really bad on a PC. It actually, if you didn't have DirectX and you went straight to the hardware, you would have a lot more performance on a PC. But over the next few years, PCs will be, again, moving ahead, because consoles are already static. And so I like the idea of being on my first platform be one that, some new feature comes on board, I can push more polygons or more effects or do more things or have more ships in a battle arena or whatever it will be. So yeah, I don't mind. I'm quite happy. I wear my PC badge. Well, probably, yeah. I see Star Citizen as sort of an ongoing thing. So I actually view it as I want to get it out, and then there's lots of things, extra stuff that I want to see in the game that we can't deliver in the first version. So I think it will keep me busy for quite a while. But yeah, no, I think there's some other games. I mean, I had some ones there's a game called Silver Heart that I developed a long time ago with Michael Moorcock, who's a very famous fantasy author, and I was going to make it at EA Origin, and then when I left to start Digital Anvil, I bought the rights to it, and I was going to do it it was going to be my next game after Freelancer, but then I sold that to Microsoft. So I still have that. I got that back from Microsoft when I sold them. So maybe that, maybe some other stuff. But right now, this is my focus. I mean, it's a full-time job. Because it's not just like a game. It's not like a single-player game that you can do and walk away. It's a living universe. So there's always going to be things to add and grow. And that's actually kind of fun. It's like my past worry on games is always, have I got everything I want into a game? Because once it's on a disc, I can't do any more. And did I do it all? Did I mess up? Or with online, I don't feel that same pressure. I feel like, okay, I can get these features out doing well. And yes, I want this feature and that feature, but I don't have to worry about it because I can roll that out in a month later or a year later or whatever it would be. So I feel like I can constantly make the game cooler or better, and it's just a different approach to developing.